Welcome to today's reading. It's Christmas currently in Australia, so Merry Christmas to all those who celebrate it. Happy holidays to those taking some time. Hopefully you're all making the most out of it and it's turning out to be a nice time of year for you all. Of course, we're not always experiencing the best times in life. For those of us facing adversity, wishing you luck and strength during this time. So today I'm super stoked to be here with you all because I didn't think that I actually would get any time over this break, and I've been feeling the push to put a reading out, but here we are, the time has come. So we've got 3 piles today. We have the first pile with the Runic tarot, and this, I think it's called a Sputnik Aragonite or Aragonite. We have group 2 with the Waite tarot, and there's this red tiger's eye. Hopefully you can see some of it in this lighting. Then we also have group 3 with the Neoterric feminine tarot and this raw piece of elite Shungite. So I believe it just has a higher carbon content than the traditional Shungite, but I love it nonetheless. Okay, so you guys are welcome to pause the video, take a moment to decide which pile you're drawn the most to. You can do a quick meditation to see if you can get something through that way, if that's helpful for you, and we'll jump into the video. Okay, welcome to today's reading. If you chose group 1 with the Runic tarot and the Sputnik, this is your reading. So I've never used this deck before. It's actually brand new. It was a Christmas present to myself, and I love it, and it'll be interesting to see how we go. I will almost definitely end up reading from the book with this one, just because there's a lot of symbology in these cards that I have no education on, with things like the runes and whatnot. Nevertheless, I'm sure we can get some intuitive messages come through anyway, and it'll be fantastic to at some point actually learn a lot of the symbology without having to refer to the book, so that will be great. Okay, so the cards that we've got the 4 of Wands, we've got the Page of Swords, and the King of Pentacles. So the 4 of Wands is that joining. It can be union, coming together, marriage. I just keep getting the words like good times coming through. Maybe it is that you have a solid partner, a person that's like a rock, that's been really helpful at the moment. They don't, of course, have to be a partner. It can just be someone that has been a person that you can rely on, and a person that has been there for you. But I also feel for a lot of us, this isn't even about union. It's just like that time of year with Christmas. If you're in the part of the world I am, or maybe wherever you are, you're also celebrating some sort of coming together of like family, but like close immediate family more than anything else. It can also just be celebration as well. So yeah, I think that all ties in with everything I've said so far anyway. A message, I'm not really sure where it's going to go, but they've just pointed out that the wands look like they're turning into trees the taller that they get. So getting good fortune and prosperity. There's an element here of protection as well. They're pointing out that her red hair here in the Four of Wands is actually also quite important. I'm not really sure why. Whenever I think of red hair, and please don't, like, you know, there's no connotations, this is just my version of how I read, regardless of what characteristic it is, whether it's a person or a chakra. The red to me, it's not even really red, it's more of an orange color, but it's really fiery, and I don't necessarily know if that means that she is a fiery person, but I do get like an essence of yeah, maybe there is a bit of fiery nature there. Take that how that applies to whether it's like a fiery relationship or whether it's a fire within yourself or this person that's in union, if that's what suits. Also, I don't quote me on it, you can have a Google, or like you can search on the internet to see if it's something that has any weight to it or not. But when I look at the number 4, there's something about life path numbers with number 4 where I believe it can be hard work. So maybe there is some sort of, whether it's that life has been hard work or you've got connections around you that are really near and dear to you, they're quite close, they're solid foundational relationships, but they are hard work. It's not in vain, and it's worthwhile doing so. There's something else that I'm noticing with him. No, that's everything. Okay. What we'll do is have a quick look at the book and just see if there's a mention here of the rune. So is it Four of Wands? There's something else I should just point out with this card, that it could also just be accepting any help or support that you're given. We're not always, you know, sometimes we're so used to, like, whether we're hyper independent or we're just so used to things not working out when other people do offer help, that at some point in time we just stop taking the help because it ends up not always actually being what's presented, it is presented as being the help. But it would actually, I feel like there is someone that's going to offer to help you that is actually quite genuine, and regardless of your relationship with them, it would just be a good act of you showing love to yourself and your inner child to show that you are taking care of yourself by accepting the help, not to mention the fact of whatever else the help can actually do for you, whatever that looks like when that happens or comes through. And it is sort of like joining up with me where maybe you're currently in this position where someone has been helping you, and that's why there's that element of like celebration and not dependency, but like it's nice to have a reliable person around, even if it's not all the time, even if it is a one-off. Okay, back to it. Okay, so this rune is the bind rune, and the message is grow the idea you currently have in your head. So interesting. That message makes me think of manifestation, but I don't get that feeling from this card, so take that as you will. Moving on to the Page of Swords. I do feel like this page, although young, is in her element. I'm getting the words like clear cut, sharp, effective communicator, just like quick, agile. Like when I said quick, it's like quick-witted. Although she is quick and quick-witted, she does take her time to perfect her craft, and I think you know, the pages can be that level of immaturity or the starting out of something, but I feel with this Page of Swords in particular, she has like, what is it? It's like the eye for detail, and she's very specifically narrowed in or zeroed in on her target, what she's actually looking at or working on here. I feel like you are this Page of Swords, if I haven't mentioned that already. And I do wonder if you're in a position where you're receiving help and you're at a point in life where you now have a solid foundation, or you have a reliable person, or someone's been a bit supportive, or whatever it is. It doesn't even have to be much, right? It all exists on a gradient, in it, like, you know, from one extreme to another, to in the middle being quite subtle, where maybe it is like a one-off situation, but it is like someone is helping you some way, and it's helping you step into this energy of being the Page of Swords. And I'm getting the impressions that it's like, what is it? It's the fittest of survival, being really healthy, really agile, really fit, almost like in your prime or in your peak. This doesn't have to be physical health either. This can be like your mental clarity or mentality. Yeah, I feel like for a lot of people, this is like a person in their A game mentally. And they're saying that you know when you get brain fog, like you're quite aware of it. So if you are a person that gets brain fog, you understand it in those moments that you're not at your best, and to do what you can to help your health so that you can get back to that place of clarity where you can step back into this energy. But I think the point of why they're bringing that up is because you have that awareness of the brain fog at times, which gives you that added position of clarity, even if you don't feel so clear at that time. And for some reason, that's quite important. Maybe you've been doubting yourself or something. Maybe you've been doubting your abilities because at times you do have this brain fog, and then you question yourself. And I feel like this self-doubt, you shouldn't be questioning yourself with this at the moment. Okay, so that's, we'll check the rune for the Page of Swords. So let's see. Here we go. No way. I'm just getting the same message as, well, sorry, not the same message. The message is take joy in serving for a greater cause, but I'm not actually getting the name of the rune. I'm actually wondering if no, it says it's a bind rune. So yeah, I need to look into the runes more and learn about them to find out what the case is there, because I know there's like an alphabet of runes, if you will, that has all the different meanings. And what I might do is, after I've made the video, I'll pop the names of the runes into the description under group 1 so that you can actually have a look into them yourselves, if that's something that you wish to do. But at this stage, I feel like the messages that need to come through are still coming through anyway. Like this light is coming out behind the clouds, like it's still coming through. It's not affecting anything at this point. Okay, moving on. So we've got the King of Pentacles is our next card. if you can keep on with this Page of Swords energy, maybe that's what the challenge is like that clarity or that brain fog, or it could also be like a boundary thing. Like maybe in the past you haven't had the greatest of boundaries, but I feel like to be in this energy that you're in now, you have put some sort of boundaries in place, and maybe at this stage what you have to do is keep them in place. You have to maintain the boundaries. It's not always easy, but I think it's a lot easier when you start practicing this to actually maintain the boundary than it is to let things slide and then end up resentful and having some sort of escalated outcome or hot-headed outcome later on. And it's healthy to have boundaries, and if somebody doesn't like that you have the boundaries, it's a reflection of them and not you. It's okay to have boundaries. It's everybody else has boundaries. You can have boundaries too. It's showing a level of respect for yourself, and I'm sort of getting that tie back into that first message of being open to receiving help is a great way we can show our inner child that we do love ourselves and we are supportive of ourselves, and that we deserve things, and that we allow ourselves these things that we deserve, like we're showing ourselves that. I'm getting that same sort of feeling with this Page of Swords, that when you maintain these boundaries, you're showing yourself and your inner child that you do protect yourself and you do put yourself first and you do take care of yourself. And there's nothing bad about that. There's nothing greedy about that. Maybe, it might not have always come from childhood. Sometimes it's like our early adolescence when we're around peers, or as we go into the workplace, or I don't know, it can be anything that happens in life. But sometimes throughout life it could be like a societal thing where there are a lot of people that just because they don't have boundaries and they don't understand it, and I have been this person, you just expect that other people don't have these boundaries because it's not something that you've experienced. It's not something that you've had to do for yourself. And you in general have a lack of boundaries yourself. So just because other people don't have these boundaries doesn't mean it's wrong for you to have these boundaries. And at some stage I would hope that they would all get to a place where they can discern and understand and put in place some sort of boundaries for themselves as well. But that's we're here to talk about you, not them. So anyway, okay, back to the King of Pentacles. We definitely went on a tangent there and got off track. So I do feel like you are protected. Maybe it's because it is a result. Maybe you get to this King of Pentacles position from actually maintaining and upholding these boundaries, because the protection feels like it is from you. It is you protecting yourself. It is you. I don't know why. Like I get the word Fourth Reich, but I don't think that's right, because I think Fourth Reich has like a totally different connotation that I don't want to go into. It's not relative. Not even staunch. It's just like a powerful, strong person upholding their own. I feel like they're self-made. Regardless of help, it's still self-made. You're the one that's traveled this journey. You're the one that's, it just keeps coming back to boundaries. It's like, you're the one that's put these boundaries in place. You're the one that has to uphold these boundaries. And so this is where you end up. You end up in a position where you've essentially had to take care of yourself, and you've been able to. And, the reward is like the earthly, like material gains, or I want to say possessions as well. So maybe there is some sort of like material wealth or abundance coming in here, which is typical of Pentacles as well. But I feel like there's good, like it's not just that, there's good health as well. This person's very strong. Like I feel like you must be very strong. And if it's not that physical strength, in which it may be, in this King of Pentacles, I feel like there is better physical strength here than what there had been before. So whether that's something that's coming in for you or not, Bear with me one moment. Just had so okay. Anyway, yeah. Even if it's not a physical strength, it's got to be mental strength. So yeah, your health. Something in your health is getting better. Because I haven't actually touched on the Sputnik yet, and it's not something that I've ever looked into. I've seen it for a while. I've been a little bit drawn to it, and I always feel the energy of crystals before I buy them to see if it's something that resonates or if it's something that I need at that time. And it definitely was. So this time it came home with me. I'm going to take a moment and see if I can get something come through just from the Sputnik. They're just saying that anything that you need is within you. So maybe it's knowing that you've got that grit and that level of strength within yourself. All right. What I'll do lastly is just check if there is a name or a message from this rune before we move on. Okay, Rune, King Flag. No, I'm not actually getting a name for this rune either. Okay. But the message is slow down and understand what is going on around you. Which is quite typical of, like, the pentacles in the tarot can be representative of that earth energy. I'm earth, I'm a lot of things. We all have a birth chart with way more than just one sign, but I do have a lot of earth heavily in my chart, if you couldn't tell already. And the earth signs can be quite slow and steady, and it can just be taking your time as well, which is funny because the swords here are kind of opposite. So maybe in your journey you've learned to slow down, and that helps you with your level of discernment and maintaining that clarity as well. I am getting like a sensation around my heart that I am equating to a heartache, and I do feel like this heartache is within this King of Pentacles chest. The only thing is though, it's not a heartache where I guess you're like depressed or pining, or you're not longing for a person, I don't feel. If anything, it's like this heartache is just knowing, it's almost like what you've had to go through or the strengths that you hold within, but it's being proud of yourself. And this heartache is almost, maybe the heartache is more just about you wish that things had have worked out better for yourself, but it's not in a being sorry way. It's like you understand it and you embody it and you're proud of it and who you are because of it, and nothing else matters, and it doesn't take over your life and it doesn't consume you, because there's so much more to you than just, and so much more to your heart as well. Like, it's just because you have that one moment of heartache doesn't mean that's what your heart is full of for the rest of time. It's just that one moment in time when maybe you do reminisce or you think back about things, or it's that I've been getting this message lately a lot about looking back at the last 12 months, and this sort of ties in perfectly. Like, it's Christmas, right? But we're about to step into the new calendar year, where if we look back at that last 12 months, that maybe things haven't been easy, and maybe there has been a lot of like genuine heartbreak and trauma. Well, I don't want to say trauma, maybe tragedy or something. I'm not really sure how deep this goes. Like I said, for some people it might not be that deep, and for others it really will be. But regardless of all that, it can be painful to look back at what we've had to endure, is the message I'm trying to get through. but you know that you have overcome this, you have that grit, you have that strength, that determination, and that persistence to just keep going, and you do end up coming out in a more stable, secure, steady position. And that seems to be everything that matters at this moment in time. So that's lovely. That's actually quite nice. I am getting like a dual message here as well. So for some of you that might not resonate. For some of you, I feel like you are or have been in a relationship and it has been good times and abundance in forms of like, I guess, support and good people around and whatnot, but maybe you have felt that you weren't really, maybe you felt like you were having to do hard work for something that didn't really resonate with you, or you didn't really feel like you had your own purpose, or I don't know, passion. Like maybe you didn't feel like you had something that was a real driving passion for you, and it's almost as if you go out on a journey or a voyage to actually find this passion. And when you do, you also along the way, I also get the feeling here of like an inadequacy, like maybe you have idolized or admired the people around you so much, and they might genuinely be like fantastic people and they have accomplished a lot, or they've, you know, got really great qualities, or they're really well-rounded, whatever that looks like. But it's almost as if at the same time you've put them on a pedestal, you've taken yourself off of one, or put yourself down lower than them because they have achieved more, or there's some sort of because of how much admiration you have. I don't feel like it's jealousy, and I don't feel like you're like a victim or a martyr or anything like that. I just feel like you look at that and think like, oh, maybe I wish I had that within me for myself. And it's not about competition or anything. Like I don't get that energy at all. It's just like you wishing you had that thing for yourself. And so I feel like you step out onto some sort of journey here to find that. And along the way of finding this passion, it ends up being less about the passion and more about your abilities and capabilities within yourself, that you find that you actually are quite capable and able, and you have talent and skill. Like there's lots of skill building, real world skill building that happens along the way here as you actually go on this journey. And that could be a message for you, is that like maybe you haven't stepped out yet onto this journey, and it is some sort of form of confirmation here, or some form of guidance. I'm not really sure, I can't tell from the energy at this point, but anyway. And then essentially when you've stepped out and you've gone through this journey and you've done skill building and learned a lot along the way, you do get to this point of turning into this King of Pentacles energy, where you are well practiced and you are well versed, and you have good discernment, because a king has to have good discernment, right? They have to be able to a king has to have good discernment to know who is around them and know who to trust. I'm just going to take a moment to quickly check the camera, because I'm just like paranoid that we're not filming, but we are, so that's great. Okay, so I think that's enough said for these cards and the crystal for the moment. There's not really, the only thing that I don't feel like I necessarily have to stop talking, but I'm just getting the same messages reiterating and coming through again and again, where they're just really trying to drive it home. And I do get this quite often, usually in at least one pile or for specific messages, because maybe you, the audience, whoever this message is for, whoever's listening, I don't know if it's that you don't believe it, or if it's that you don't think that it's possible, or you don't have that faith or trust in yourself, or you don't think that you have what it takes to do this. It doesn't matter if you think that you don't have what it takes to do this. If there's ever a time in your life where you are underestimating yourself and doubting yourself, and you don't know how strong you are, the world will show you hearing even in the most unkind ways. It's not always in unkind ways. Some of you will already understand this, and I don't really want to end this reading on this note. We're going to definitely do some oracle cards and see if we can get something else to come through, but it could just be acknowledgement for you. All I'm trying to say is that a lot of us don't start out from great places, and we find ourselves along the way anyway, okay? Alright, so for the oracle, so I'm going to be taking a card from, I don't know how to pronounce it, I'll give it a go. I think it may be Barbieri Zodiac Oracle, but yeah, we'll just see if we get something here. For any of you that might end up a little bit emotional after this reading, it would be fantastic if you could spend a little bit of time outside with or around the earth element. If you can't get outside and you have a house plant, I know it sounds bizarre, just sit with your house plant. If you can get outside, it would be fantastic. It would be even better if you could sit on the ground. Depending where you are, if it's been raining or not, maybe you just sit with your feet on the ground. You don't have to necessarily sit on the ground if that's not something you can do at the moment. You know, we're not all able-bodied either, so it can be hard. Aries energy. Okay. Even if you are not Aries, I feel like that determination and fire and passion is something that I've been picking up on quite a bit throughout this reading anyway. So hopefully that ties in there for you. I'm just going to take one other card. Okay, so this card is from the Goddesses and Sirens, well, 2 cards, Oracle. Okay, I also don't know how to pronounce these. I think it's Katesh with pleasure and Rhiannon with self-trust. I feel like this is this pleasure card has very strong energy, very strong sacral energy. It you know, with the 2 different stories that we had playing out here, if you are someone that's in part of a union and sort of trying to forge your own path and building that self-assurance and strong sense of self within you, then maybe it does ignite a level of pleasure within your relationship when you embody this energy. For the rest of us, where it's not necessarily around a relationship, this energy is more significant to the passion that's driving us on this journey. I guess it's pretty similar. It's just 2 different sides of the coin, right? Okay. Something very specific about this energy though, like it's quite strong. I want to say fierce again, and I'm even noticing, you know, that like we've got the reddish hair turning up again, but the Aries card was a lot of red and orange as well. There's something here where the men are important in this pleasure card. And I think it's like, I kept getting the word fierce as well. And I'm not sure if it's the men that are specifically fierce or the energy that's fierce. But when you look at their faces, like they look like warriors. Like they do look fierce. maybe it's the warrior energy that you've had to embody. I do feel like for some people you could be, if you know much about the chakras, our base chakra, the root chakra, which is at the base of the spine, is a lot about survival and feeling safe to express, like outwardly express and whatnot. Actually, it's not even outwardly expressed, that's the sacral chakra. So the root chakra is being safe in our environment, and the sacral chakra is that like outward expression and creativity and sexual energy. And what it can be is if you're in a state of survival, it can be harder to access that chakra above it, being the sacral chakra, which is when you are safe enough to freely express yourself or to engage in, intimacy, acts of intimacy, or to step into a place of creativity because you have that safe environment to be able to do so. But it's there's something else with this card that's bizarre. Like, I do wonder if it's just this fierce energy is this almost protective energy here, because I haven't felt this through the rest of the reading. Unless it is your own energy, is that you in turn become quite of a fierce protector, which I guess makes sense with that talk of boundaries. Okay, it's calmed down, so that's what it was. It's the enforcing the boundaries again. I do get like a sense of vulnerability from this card as well, which goes along with what I was mentioning about having to feel safe to step into these other energies here. Yeah. Okay. I think we can move on now. Not yet? Okay, what else is there here? I am having highlighted, so there are the three people in this card. The first one has a weapon, the staff here, and lots of armor. The second one has like reduced armor, and I guess it comes with not a level of complacency, but there's not that as strong a drive to protect or to be guarded. And the third person here is actually quite vulnerable and quite open. There is no weapons, there is no armor. If anything, it's a place of significance and allowance. So maybe this is also representative of that gaining that self-confidence and trusting yourself along your journey of who you turn out to be, that you get to a place where you no longer feel like you need to have someone else protect you or be so protective or be so defensive. I also just get the energy of just being around people where, like good people that aren't going to misuse this place of vulnerability, and they will be protective. So as anything, or as mentioned, like, say in the readings, you have your own level of discernment and responsibility for your life, and it's these readings are put out for a reason. They're supposed to help us. It won't necessarily resonate for everybody, but we should always have that level of responsibility for our own decision makings, and sometimes we don't always choose the right pile because of the energy that we're in, and it just, like anything, if some person just says something on the internet, it doesn't mean that you necessarily go and do exactly every single thing that they say. you know, there's room for real life and error within that, and you know your own life better than anybody else. I don't want to leave anyone in a position where they feel like they're trusting people that they're not quite sure about, because that's not what this is meant for. I'm getting a bit of a bizarre message coming through that there is some sort of like forbidden fruit here that is within you, where maybe you're not quite ready to like show someone yet. Yeah. Maybe just take a little bit more time and get to know anybody before you go doing that. Yeah, I don't think I need to elaborate on that. Okay, so moving on to the Rhiannon self-trust card. The self-trust theme is just something that we've been talking about a lot throughout this reading. Yeah. I don't feel like we need to touch on that more than anything that we've already mentioned here. Okay, I do feel like we need to pull one more card though. Okay, so this is the Into the Lonely Woods Oracle deck. I love these cards, and they're gigantic, as a lot of the cards are that I use, but like, you know, one day I'll get better at shuffling, hopefully. Okay, we are taking those cards. Okay, so we have the cards A Time to Share and Hope is Like a Hummingbird. So a time to share, it could be that coming into a place of testing the waters with vulnerability of a person that you are coming into union with, or yeah. There's also like another message that I feel like I actually didn't really touch on. Maybe I did with like specific parts, but not the whole story, where it is just stepping into a brand new union. And I think I did mention about like maintaining boundaries and everything like that quite a bit. And it is just coming to a place of you're almost the King of Pentacles within your own relationship, where it's not necessarily about material wealth or anything like that, but it's just that you are that steady. Maybe this person for you is like that steady, secure person within a relationship. And you, like with an Aries energy, whether it's you or them, you can trust that they are communicating what then wants and needs are. Maybe that is part of the challenge here, and hasn't been something that's necessarily happened, but it's encouraging that healthy energy to advocate for self. And if there's anything I can sort of mention from past, like, you know, personal experiences, is that when we don't communicate, whether it's because we don't want to rock the boat or we're scared of loss, you know, like in coming from a state of fear rather than love, is that we can hold things in and not communicate it, and it can end up being far more detrimental down the line to the relationship and to both people involved, instead of if we had just initially communicated what our want or need or boundary was in the first place. And that way we give the other person a chance to enact that and to honor it and respect it, and we give them a chance to do the same. Yeah. And then when you are in a relationship that is much safer and it's honored and respected and there's good communication, maybe that's where you can step into this energy of pleasure, and there is that level of self-trust because you are honoring yourself, right? So then it becomes a time to share. And for those of us, you know, like if you're in this pile, maybe it is very specific to you to embody hope. Previous experiences can lead us to think, or to, whether it's to prepare for like the worst case scenario because of what we've experienced previously, or we get so used to things not working out that we assume that they won't. That hope doesn't have to be unbridled, unhealthy fantasy of making things up in our mind. We can just have hope that maybe it is like it does work out. If we're doing the right things and we're coming from that healthy place. Wow, I keep saying healthy place. It's almost like the healthy mentality, and I'm not talking about like being free of mental illness, right? And not even the words mental illness, I don't like it. I think we all deal with different amounts or varying degrees of like anxiety and depression in life, and it just depends, you know, when and where, how things play out. But it's like that healthy frame of mind where we see things for what they really are. Like it is quite grounded. We are grounded in ourselves and our experience. And that really gives us that ability to share with people in a good way. They're mentioning that there's a level of humility within it. And I think that's something I strongly resonate with. I was always scared to just be myself. So maybe for some of you, if that resonates, this is that time to just share yourself. And when you can be yourself and you choose to share yourself, you are honoring yourself. I don't know how many times I can say self in a reading, but we'll get there. It's building on that level of self-trust as well, because you know that you're not abandoning you. There's like a very shared energy between these two cards of self-trust and a time to share. Sometimes it's okay to take a risk, right? If it doesn't work out, then we know that it just wasn't meant for us, and it wasn't going to be all the things we would have hoped for it to be, or liked for it to be, or wanted it to be. It's sort of, if it's something with all the mental air activity, if it's something that you resonate with, that you overthink or ruminate, or there's that element of anxiety where we're attached to an outcome, we're attached to a way of things playing out, then we're not living in the present moment, being ourselves and letting things unfold. So I think that's the overall message here that we've been trying to get through. Okay, yeah, that's everything that I can get from these cards and any messages today. So hopefully that resonated for you and was helpful. And thank you for spending your time with me, and I wish you guys the best. Hey, welcome group 2. If you chose the Rider-Waite Tarot and the Red Tiger's Eye, then this is the reading for you. We're not taking that. I was going to see if I get too many cards jump out a third time, I'll just take it, but I really don't feel like we need that many cards. I'm getting 5 cards, so we'll see. We'll see what we get. Not that it's something that I normally feel called to, but with that 7 of Pentacles being the first card coming out, I am getting like that very strong earth sign energy. So I do wonder if you have quite a lot of earth in your chart, or this is my sort of earthier pile. What have we got? 4, do we need one more? I think we've been able to get the exact cards that we needed to sort of reduce it down to 4 without needing a 5th. So that works well. We can always pull another card if we need to refine it at all. Okay, so we have the 7 of Pentacles, we have the 6 of Cups, the Hermit, and the 10 of Swords. Okay, so 7 of Pentacles, so it's kind of like that, being patient and watching the fruits of our labor grow over time, but it's steady, progressive, yeah, slower energy, but I'm getting really earth energy here. I wonder if this is more of a person. I wonder if this is just the energy that you're in. Like it's not about where you're at in some stage of like business or life. This is about the energy that you're embodying. And I wonder if you've been doing some level of work on yourself, or self-help, or self-development, upskilling somehow. And the upskilling doesn't always have to be so black and white, needing accreditation for some way to quantify your upskilling. Sometimes it can just be like taking the time, reflecting on things in life, and pondering in our moments of mindfulness and putting pieces together. Although this is more physical than it is actually mental. I wonder for some of you if you've just been like working on your general health and wellness overall. So yeah, maybe you've been doing some of that self-helpy stuff, but maybe you've also actually been exercising or eating well and like looking after yourself. And these are the things that, you know, you're not going to be able to tell tomorrow that you've worked out, but in 7 months time you'll actually be able to see like a great change in results. Like 7 months is quite a long time. It's enough to, you know, embody a practice and get in the swing of things and build a habit, and to really live that practice and to build on it and challenge yourself and grow. And it gives me that energy of like, what is it? It's not, you're not passive. Like you are very much in an active state where you're the person doing all this stuff, but it's almost that reflective energy of like watching yourself grow and develop over this time. It's like maybe you do take that time to look in the mirror sort of every couple of weeks, and you're noticing the small changes, or maybe you're like taking photos of yourself on day 1 and day 30 and day 60, day 90, so and so. And it's like gives you that concrete evidence of results. I'm very much getting the energy of like watching the plants grow, and I'm just gonna talk about it anyway, whether it resonates or not. I love plants, and when I first started loving plants, I didn't have too many commitments in life, and I quite literally had a lot of time where I prioritized sitting around watching the plants grow. Like I would actually go out every day and check if they had new leaves and new flowers and all that sort of stuff. So maybe it is just that whatever you're working on is so interesting or captivating, or I don't know, like you've just got enough interest in it in general that you are just regularly checking up on it, and you are seeing those slow, smaller moments of progress. Like it's just, there's very progressive energy here in a way that's really good for you. Okay, that's all we need from that card, so we'll move on. The next card that we have is the 6 of Cups. And I do feel like it is a gift being given, or that you are receiving, but she's looking away, so it's like she's not quite embodying that energy of receiving. And I think if you could do that, it would, like, for yourself, would be fantastic. I am hearing hyper independence, and this is actually a message that I also got in group 1. So if you did feel drawn to that, there may be something there for you. But yeah, the worst thing is in this card is that you can see what's in these cups, and there's nothing bad in these cups. And I feel like this person giving the cup to her is doing so from a good place, and it's quite transparent, and they don't expect anything in return. They're quite simply giving because they themselves have so much that they can, and it doesn't affect anybody, and it would be simply going to waste if they did not. It might not be a lot, but it is something. And I feel like there is a level of, don't mind the cars, there is a level of your own self-worth, or there's something in you, some sort of block or blockage. I don't even know if you feel like you don't deserve it or what it is. I don't feel like you don't trust this person. It's like you won't let yourself have it. And I don't know if it's because you, there's like an analogy that I have coming through, and what it is that when you are a parent and you have really small children and you're forever on your feet, on the go, when you do have a moment to sit and stop, whether it's with the children or just in any time, like maybe it's even to sit down and eat your food, you generally don't allow yourself to relax and get comfortable, because you know within 30 seconds or a minute or even 5 minutes, if that's what it takes, you will probably have to get up and help them again, or be doing something else with them. I don't know, just anything can happen, right? So it can be a lot harder to allow yourself to relax, because you know that you just are going to have to go again. And it's that sort of, if you don't stop and relax, you keep that momentum going, you keep that same energy going. The only thing is it's obviously not really, it's not good or conducive for us to never relax. It's not good to stay in that state of like operating out of the parasympathetic nervous system, which, you know, might not necessarily be the case for everyone here, but that's for those of us that are dealing with it on a long-term gradient. So the point of that mention or analogy is maybe you just aren't used to receiving, and you just, I don't know, maybe it's just habit for you to not want to not receive, or maybe when you've received things in the past, you've just had them taken from you, so you are just, you know, like maybe it's not that the people giving you things are being deceptive or carrying ulterior motives. It might just be that when you generally receive things, it just doesn't work out, or you don't get to keep them, or someone takes them from you, something, I don't know. I'm not sure what this energy is of why you won't take the things. I do get the feeling that if you could allow yourself to take the things, whatever it is, it would be fantastic. Like, it would be really good for you. I'm getting a level of stubbornness here, and the stubbornness is not something that I pick up from the cups. The cups are generally like flowing and, you know, representation of water, and water can take many forms, and it's always changing. So maybe it's that message to be more like water when you have been so earthy for so long. Maybe it's time to embrace some level of flexibility here, and it is time for a change, and it is okay to receive something. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to the Hermit card. So this can be like a time of introspection, alone time, self-discovery, illumination, like a journey within the self. I'm getting, for those of you it resonates with, I'm getting the message Imrama, which can be journey of the soul. The Hermit can also be a mentor or like a wise person in your life, but I feel like this could be you if you could accept whatever this is coming in on your path. maybe this is kind of a little bit like the fruits of your labor. It's like you're putting in all this work and you're doing all this stuff, and it doesn't necessarily show up straight away. I've just got people coming home, and I'm hoping I don't have to actually pause the video because we're only halfway through. Whereas with these cups, maybe this is someone trying to actually pay you for your services, or reward you, or celebrate you, because their Six of Cups can be that celebration, or it can be that success, people showing you success and celebrating you and applauding you for the work that you've done. And if you can accept that, then you can move on to this phase of being generally accepted as the wise or the expert person in whatever this lessons have been. Something here with the Ten of Swords. Knowing that no matter what has happened, you have kept going anyway. I feel like this Ten of Swords is coming back to this energy of why you won't accept this cup, even though you know you deserve it. And I feel very strongly that you do. You know you deserve it. But you're still being held back by it. I feel like there's a level of self-acceptance and self-forgiveness here. And if you can do that for yourself, everything will turn out in your favor. I'm getting an energy here too, or a bit of a message where you may be sad. Don't mind the dogs, hopefully they quiet down a bit. There is an energy of being sad here, and it is because that you know that in the past when you've had these opportunities where you have excelled, someone has tried to show praise, that you haven't accepted it. This is your time to rewrite the story, to accept it this time so that this doesn't play out the same way. Okay, so we'll have a little bit of background noise moving forward. So the cards that we've pulled are from the Oracle of the Mermaids, starting with receptivity, allow yourself to receive, allow yourself to give. So I feel this is representative of that Six of Cups energy here, where you're still not allowing yourself this recognition or applause, whatever this gift is or this thing that this person is trying to give you. For a small group of you, I do feel like some of you are the person trying to give to someone who is not open to receiving, and there's nothing that you can do here other than show that the offer still stands for when they are ready. But for the majority of us, I do feel it is ourselves that are having trouble with being in this energy of allowing ourselves to receive. Next, we had sisterhood, friendship, allies, compatible souls, loyalty, joy, and delight. And I do feel like this sisterhood card is representative of the people that are to do with this giving and receiving. So we know that it's only coming from a place of, friendship, allies, compatible souls, loyalty, joy, and delight. The next card that we have is Wave of Power. A surge of power, upswing in energy, exhilarating movement. And I feel like this is what happens, or the energy you step into when you allow yourself to receive. Lastly, we have homeland, arrival, a journey ends, establishment, building, and settled. And I feel like this is where you'll end up if you're able to actually embody this receptivity. This is everything that I have for Group 2's reading today, so thank you for being with me. Hopefully it resonated and was helpful in some way, and hopefully enjoy the rest of your day. Okay, welcome group 3. If you chose the Neoterric Feminine Tarot and the Elite Shungite, then this is your reading for today. Hopefully everybody's doing well. I know this can be a crazy time of year. Let's see what we get. I'm just, even as I'm shuffling the cards, I already feel like I'm a little bit ungrounded in my energy. And so I do wonder if some of you have been dealing with some heavier stuff, or maybe it is just that busyness, because everyone over the holiday season can get a little bit crazy with shops being busy, seeing lots of people, having lots of things to do, that sort of stuff. So we have the Ten of Pentacles, the Two of Swords, and the Hermit. Okay, so the Ten of Pentacles can be legacy, roots, family, ancestry, inheritance, windfall, foundations, privilege, affluence, stability, and tradition. For me, this Ten of Pentacles is living in like prosperity and material wealth, but I don't feel like it's just material wealth. I actually feel like this is on all fronts of what wealth could look like, and that could be a wealth of people around you, celebrations with this time of year, and honoring the traditions that come with it. And if you look at the picture, there's children, there's elderly people, there's mothers, they've even got some dogs, some pets there as well. So for me, this feels very relative to family itself. And I feel like this is where you're starting out at. But the Two of Swords can be representative of a stalemate, difficult choices, being stuck in the middle, denial, hidden information. For myself, it's just a crossroads. So there's some sort of decision that you need to make. Obviously a difficult one, because you wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't. And you may feel like no matter which decision you make, you don't win in any outcome. So at this point, you're in the stalemate, and it would just be best to make a decision. And I'm just hearing that there is no right decision. No decision is better than the other. No outcome is going to be better than the other. And it is just a case of making a decision to be able to move on. Okay, so the last card that we have is the Hermit, with self-reflection, introspection, contemplation, withdrawal, solitude, and search for self. And I do get the feeling that even if you are, for some reason, left out in the cold, which is not what this card typically represents, but maybe you do get that feeling of being on your own for a time, that it was still better than upholding what seemed to be a real Ten of Pentacles from the outside, but maybe a false, like maybe a facade from the inside. And if it wasn't a case of a facade, maybe you didn't really know yourself in that environment, who you are at your core. And going on this journey will help you actually find your true sense of self and strong sense of self. I'm getting that illumination is like a really key point here. So, you know, these journeys of finding or searching for that sense of self can be very illuminating, but it can also be that quiet time for introspection where we're piecing things together that can be quite illuminating as well. So maybe it is that like time on our own without interruptions and distractions. Like you can see this Ten of Pentacles here is quite busy, and the Hermit is not. The Hermit's just on their journey, doing their thing, working it out as they go. They're saying that's all you need to know. So that's all I'm getting for the tarot. This was actually quite short and sweet considering all things. I do have to say this Two of Swords here, it's not to undermine any anguish that you may be going through here. I feel like there could be a lot of ruminating and back and forth thoughts and really agonizing over whatever this decision is. And it is for a good reason. It's not an easy decision. And like what they're saying, there is no wrong move. You can't make a wrong choice here. You just have to do something so that you can allow yourself to move on from this stage or this energy. Okay, so we'll be using the Sacred Rebels Oracle. And this was a gift from a dear friend. So we have 3 cards pop out. We have Inspiration, New Birth, Guarded Vigilante, and Beyond the Mind, the Heartbeats. I do feel like the inspiration is going to be something that has sparked this decision, has ultimately helped you make any decision when you are at the crossroads, but also ends up being something you find within yourself on this journey of hermitude. There is also reference to you being a source of your own inspiration in the evolution of yourself as you're learning more about yourself. So this is that reiterating the illumination in your search for self. Maybe you're realizing that you're better than you thought you were. Maybe you were underestimating yourself. Maybe you didn't have a great level of self-esteem. But there's actually quite a lot of beauty to you that you just haven't been able to see previously, and maybe at this point you actually can. They are highlighting there's some sort of issue here around this subject, and it does feel there's just a lot of energy around it. Maybe like something's not seen, so it could quite literally just be a case of you don't see this within yourself yet, and you're unaware of this being one of the potential outcomes or one of the things that will actually drive you forward on your journey. Because when you're in this Ten of Pentacles energy, not only is it busy and there are lots of people around you, and you do have, I get the energy of like wanting for nothing. You're not really tested, and it's not that you don't have a lot of character, but you don't always have an understanding of your abilities or capabilities or the level of grit that you hold as a person when you haven't had to come out of tough places. So maybe going through whatever this is that actually happens here, which could be like walking away from or leaving some sort of family situation here to follow some sort of path for yourself, being that, search for self. It could also be like a sense of, for some of you, it could be like an agonizing between people-pleasing tendencies and holding boundaries. And yeah, Eli's bottle. Do you want to go give it to Dada? Go give Eli's bottle to Dada. Okay. So I do feel like for some of you, this Ten of Swords energy can be representative of some sort of dispute here over people-pleasing tendencies and upholding boundaries. And it could be a case of when you're in this Ten of Pentacles, like lifestyle and energy, it is, I guess, a result of your people-pleasing tendencies that you get to, or you feel like you get to keep this and uphold it. And maybe you do feel like if you actually uphold your own boundaries and honor yourself and get to know yourself and embody what that looks like to the world, maybe it's not so greatly accepted by others. So you don't have that Ten of Pentacles energy where you're surrounded all the time and whatnot. But maybe you have self-acceptance here. And maybe this is what will really bring in deep, fulfilling connections rather than things that are just based on earthly values. And getting some sort of reference here to the birds and the bees. They're just bringing it back to you don't understand what's within yourself or the beauty that's within yourself yet, and this journey is going to help uncover that for you. Okay, so moving on to the new birth, guarded vigilante. So it is that level of transformation and growing things and developing. There's patience with this as well, and self-compassion. There's a lot of green, being like compassion from the heart or for yourself during this process. And there will be times where we do feel we have to be more guarded than usual because we're not falling into line with these people-pleasing tendencies, or showing up in a way that makes other people comfortable rather than ourselves. We're actually showing up as who we are, and I guess we can feel like we're quite vulnerable or open to like attack, or maybe you feel like you're a bit, what is it? Yeah, I guess it can just be feeling vulnerable when we're being ourselves. Maybe you're just not used to it. Maybe you've had to keep a facade up to get through it. But you grow wise from this process as well. Okay, so moving on, we have beyond the mind, the heart beats. I do feel like for some of you, you could have been recognized for like intellectual accolades. Maybe you were perceived as or are or embody a high level of intelligence here that you've been greatly recognized for, but it's pointing out that there is more to you than just your mind or your academic brilliance or your intellect itself, and that you are a human and you do have a heart and you do embody passion for other things in life, whether it's like philosophy or this getting to know yourself or the Imrama journey of the soul. There is something here that I'm being called to mention too. So we have inspiration with the number 3, the new birth guarded vigilante with the number 24, and beyond the mind, the heartbeats with number 21. So I do feel like here that the inspiration is only like a small portion to this new birth here. There's something about if you take the 3 from the 24, you get the 21. So if you're taking this inspiration out of some sort of new birth, what is that? They're saying that that's all it is. So, okay, I'm getting more energy here still though with the 2 of Swords. So there's something that we haven't touched on that we still need to cover. They're saying there's a difference between 2 worlds. Okay, so I am getting inner and outer. So I do feel like the Hermit is your reflective of your inner world or inner sanctum, and the 10 of Pentacles is how you are showing up in the world or how you're perceived in the world on the outside. And I've had it come up a couple times, and I didn't want to, you know, go down that path if it wasn't very significant, but they're mentioning ego. So it could be that you're in a position where you're struggling with your own ego and wanting to maintain this facade, or no, it might not be a facade, it might all be real, but it all might be based from a place of ego rather than who you really are as a person, and if you're fulfilled within yourself. Yeah. Something else here with the Ten of Pentacles, because it's Ten of Pentacles is brilliant because it is abundance in a lot of ways. But if you were to get a card like the Ten of Cups, it's like real fulfillment in life, and maybe that's what you're looking for rather than this Ten of Pentacles. Maybe this is like safe and secure, and you have these, you know, a lot of your needs are met, but maybe there's not that extra depth. Maybe you're missing that level of depth. And a lot of the depth will be within you or come from you yourself. You just don't realize it. And I'm hearing here too that it's the depth within the mind. So sometimes we can go through life distracting ourselves, and it doesn't always have to be on a screen. It can be many ways that we do it. For some of us, it can be living in ego as a good distraction, where we do have the nice clothes and we have the nice house and we have, you know, the dogs and the family, and we're just upholding this life that looks very good, and we're very interested in whatever the new thing is, or maybe how we're perceived so much in the world that we actually forget the rest. Okay, any more cards? No. Oh, Shaman. I'm just going to take from one more deck. So this is the Shaman Healing Oracle. I am just getting one more message with this Two of Swords card, that the moon is here, and the moon can be representative of like illusion or disillusionment, and the message is to make sure that you're not coming from a place of emotions. Like, you need to be quite factual about whatever this decision is to help you make that decision, so that the outcome is, you know, I guess something that is born of practicality rather than an emotional impulse or reaction at the time, that, you know, maybe you make that decision out of an emotional reaction, but it doesn't actually serve anybody later down the track. Okay, and then the last card that we have from the Shaman Healing Oracle is Perception, and that sort of ties in perfectly with that mention of the Two of Swords there, with that perception. If we can keep it, normally I'm all for, you know, valuing our emotions and everything, and I think there's still a way that you can value your emotions, but you understand that reacting out of emotions isn't always the best choice. I just keep getting that same message being driven home about the illumination is within you, and you just haven't seen it yet. So it could be something that you're not really open to, you don't really believe it, or you don't have that level of insight within yourself, or you don't think it's possible, but they're saying that it is, and that you need to embody it, and that it will bring like a level of confidence with it as well that will help you in your transformation. They're also highlighting the willpower that it will take to enact this situation, to make a move, to take action that will actually allow you to continue on your path. So maybe you've been quite passive up until this point, and this is where you need to take action to make this decision, or making a decision is taking action. Okay, so that's everything that I'm getting for this reading so far. I do want to touch on the elite Shungite. So if you missed it at the start, the only reason it's called or comes with the name elite is because it has a higher carbon content than what the typical Shungite does. But Shungite for me is a protective stone and grounding and shielding. So hopefully this is something that you can embody or would be helpful for you going through this time, which makes sense if you're having to make heavy decisions and, you know, in efforts to embrace this search of yourself, it can be quite vulnerable. So that there might be something in that if you'd like to have a look. The other thing is maybe you can have a little look for what other meanings of Shungite are out there. For me, it's also very reflective, which could also be in line with that self-reflection mentioned within the Hermit here. Yeah. This may be a phase where it's almost like looking in the mirror down the line and seeing how you've transformed and how far you've come. Okay, so thank you for all being here with me today. Hopefully this resonated and you got something out of it, and hopefully you enjoy the rest of your holidays or the rest of your day, and I will see you in another reading.